Very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the channel. And here we are starting with the news analysis video for 2nd of October. So first important news from GS3 economy is oil firms, they have raised the aviation turbine fuel and commercial LPG prices. So this was expected amid the crude oil prices going up. And as we know, India is dependent upon 85% of the crude oil imports to meet 85% of the domestic demands. So this is definitely a direct link of that. So commercial cooking gas prices rises, establishments such as even restaurants, they shell out more for the fuel. So herein, this would definitely have the multiplier effect as well. And when we talk about what are then other short-term measures that we need to take so that this linkage is reduced, and what are some long-term measures? So short-term measures may definitely we can go ahead with diversification of our crude oil importing partners, and this is one thing that we have even adopted. So specifically after the Russia-Ukraine war, we have dependent or we have increased the share of crude oil imports from Russia. So Russia now it enjoys the #1 position when we talk about the chronological ordering of different partner countries from where we are importing the crude oil. And with this, why we increased the dependence upon the crude oil imports from Russia, that is because of the Russia was offering crude oil prices at a discounted price. So we took leverage of that opportunity. Apart from this, when we talk about certain long-term measures, so in long-term measures, we are saying when we talk about green energy transition, so herein we are again discovering the opportunities, how we can increase the usage of green hydrogen, fuel cell, and biofuels in everyday usage. So these are some of the long-term measures which are going to take some time. And with this also, we are seeing promoting more of electric vehicles. So therein also we are having the FAME scheme, and we are trying to build up even the charging infrastructure so that again the density of that increases. And definitely that is one of the important reasons why people are not going forward with the electric vehicles. Plus the second reason is higher cost. So government is offering a subsidy on the electric vehicles under the FAME scheme. So these are some of the associated things with this topic. Then when we talk about the tax revenue, so specifically indirect tax revenue की बात करेंगे तो we'll talk about the GST tax revenue growth. So gross GST revenue growth, it slowed down to 10% in the month of September. But when we talk about the overall performance of the GST revenue, so we have been seeing it is gradually increasing by smaller amounts. So you can see that gradually the height of these bar diagrams has been increasing, and GST tax collections rose to rupees 1.63 lakh crores in September, which is 10.2% higher than September 2022. But comparatively, when we compare it with the previous month, so it has been, we can see it has fallen or declined by 10.2%. So definitely this is one of the, we can say, positive outcomes of enrollment of GST. So with this, what are other pending reforms that we can talk about when it comes to GST? How we can ensure that how more tax revenue can be generated, how we can widen the tax base. So one of the major benefits that we have seen in longer term after the rollout of GST is formalization of the economy. With that, we have seen now more number of people coming into the tax net. So this is one impact of widened tax base because of GST. And apart from this, when we talk about the reform, so should we go for a single tax rate of GST or not? That is one thing. Or do we need to even, reduce the number of tax slabs that are there right now? We are having 5 tax slabs. So should we reduce them? That is another area. And when we talk about periodically conducting the GST Council meeting, so that's important. With that, when we talk about setting the agenda that is taken up in the GST Council meetings, so that is majorly set by the center. So therein states do not have any role in deciding that. So that needs to be again amended, and definitely that is an important feature of federalism. So states need to also get due share in deciding the agenda, what are the again important issues which are associated and which they are facing. So that's there. And another problem in GST is that we have seen is generation of fake GST bills. So that is also being addressed. So these are some of the concerns associated, and of late we have seen that GST has been imposed on the e-gaming industry. So definitely industry is protesting because herein it has been imposed upon both the types of games, the games of skills and the games of chance. So games of chance, they involves money into that. So whatever amount you deposit, tax would be imposed upon that. So here in the e-gaming industry, that is to say ki the tax that has been implemented, that is 5 times of their total revenue. So herein we can just talk about ki there can be different tax rates for game of skills and games of chance. And with this, we also see ki gaming industry holds a lot of potential of growth in future. So that also needs to be kept in mind when we are deciding the tax rate, and also the impact that it is going to have on the youth, which is again which is going to be a part of the future demographic dividend of India. So, and definitely are in a part of our labor force as well. So these are few areas that needs to be balanced and taken into consideration. So AFSPA, which is Armed Forces Special Powers Act, has been extended in 4 districts of Assam as well. So herein disturbed areas जो declare कर दिए जाते हैं, वहाँ पे इस act को implement कर दिया जाता है in order to restore the law and order situation. And of late Manipur में we have seen कि people have been protesting क्योंकि only tribal areas में इस act को implement किया गया है and not in the valley region. So valley region में majority community reside करती है, तो again ethnic differences exist करते हैं, so that's why people are protesting against it. And there are certain again very like we can say when कुछ powers जो ये act देता है, the power devolution to the armed forces, that is also cause of concern for the people जब हम बात करते हैं shoot at sight orders. So herein it becomes important जो ethical dilemma इससे emerge out होती है, that is safeguarding the human rights versus law and order situation. So today is Gandhi Jayanti. So quoting the words of Mahatma Gandhi, I will strive for an India in which even the poorest of the poor shall feel that this is their country, a country where their voice matters. So again, we need to pay attention to this when we talk about inclusive growth. Then another important principle that was propagated by Mahatma Gandhi was स्वच्छता भक्ति के बाद दूसरी सबसे महत्वपूर्ण चीज है. So we have been focusing upon Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and we are seeing some behavioral changes as well. So this movement is going forward, kind of a revolution. Say. So कश्मीर में जो बैट इंडस्ट्री है, क्रिकेट बैट्स जो मैन्युफैक्चर किए जाते हैं, that is one of the most important industries of Kashmir. So it hits its sweet spot after 102 years. So for the first time, 102 years of manufacturing history in this valley, the Kashmir bat will be used in 50 over World Cup matches. So that is again definitely going to boost the manufacturing also. So at the International Cricket Council Men's Cricket World Cup 2023, hosted by India, which begins on 5th of October, the Afghan team will be wielding the Kashmir willow. So how this would be even generating new employment opportunities for the people in Kashmir. And once we have the economic stability, so that is also somewhere associated with the law and order situation as well. So Kashmir has exported around 1.35 lakh bats in 2022. And here we have different figures. So today is the day also of the birth anniversary of Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri and Mahatma Gandhi. So celebrating the contributions of two most important personalities of our Indian freedom struggle. So we can talk about the Madhya Pradesh model of poverty elevation. So we see that in Madhya Pradesh, it beats poverty. 1.36 crore people move out of this vicious cycle of poverty. So it has registered a decline of around 15.94% in the number of poor people as per the Niti Aayog's report of regarding the poverty reduction. So it says कि Madhya Pradesh, it is reducing poverty faster. So क्या different चीजें adopt किया जा रही है in Madhya Pradesh state so as we are seeing such amazing results. So Niti Aayog publishes the Multidimensional Poverty Index of 2023. So multi-dimensional poverty को समझना, and if we are able to reduce multi-dimensional poverty, then we can say कि actual sense में poverty decline हम कर पा रहे हैं, क्योंकि if we talk about normally poverty, तो we often associate it poverty with the economic angle, with the income angle, कि आप again daily income कितनी है, if it is below $1 every day, so it means you are below poverty line. So multi-dimensional poverty में income definitely एक part है, आपकी daily income कितनी है, daily wages आप कितने earn कर रहे हो, साथ के साथ your access to healthcare services, to the educational services, quality of life क्या है, क्या जो basic necessities है, quality of drinking water क्या accessibility है या नहीं है, are you living in a pakka house or not, and then again access to the financial services or not, so financial inclusion भी उसमें आ जाता है. So ये सारे areas को जब हम assess करते हैं, performance को assess करते हैं इन parameters के ऊपर, so then we talk about multi-dimensional poverty. So reduction in poverty in the rural and the urban areas is visible in Madhya Pradesh. I'm just looking for some measures if they are mentioned in this article or not. So we are having the data. So basically we can take away is that they have been working on each small parameter, like be it nutrition or cooking fuel access, drinking water, electricity, financial services access है कि नहीं, bank accounts open किए हैं या नहीं किए, are you using them or not, then power surplus state we have Madhya Pradesh, so that's also important area. So again, micro targeting is helping Madhya Pradesh in massively reducing poverty. So doing justice to the poor, so schemes that are there are ₹5 per meal. That is being assured land pattas to over 38,000 homeless people. Then also giving the poor their rights. So as we were just talking about it, Mahatma Gandhi talked about that poor people, they should also feel that they are a part of the country, they are a part of the growth of the country as well. So it is important that we need to ensure that their rights are not being violated. And Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is then when talk about household area, Mukhyamantri Jan Awas Yojana, which is specifically again in the state of Madhya Pradesh. Then subsidized food grain access to that is also important. Affordable meals, so even that's delivered results. So social protection schemes have been running for the workers, both organized area maybe or unorganized sector maybe जो लोग work कर रहे हैं उनके लिए social security benefits ensure करना, that's important. Street vendors का welfare, for this again we have the PM Swanidhi scheme. So if we talk about India's statistical performance on the global stage, so World Bank's compilation of the statistical performance indicators, it ranks India 67 among 174 countries in 2019. So if we go by the analysis, so it reveals कि दोनों shortcomings and हमारी commendable performance कौन से areas में रही है when we talk about our statistical performance. So this index, firstly, it enhances our international competitiveness, and that has been highlighted in this article as well. So which recommends for this strategic improvement in the critical pillars. So critical pillars kya hai? So we are celebrating its election to the United Nations Statistical Commission. So India has been elected to this commission. So India's own official statistical system jo hai, it has come under scrutiny within the country recently as well. So will assess this topic. So ये जो इंडेक्स कैलकुलेट किया जाता है इसमें कौन से डायमेंशंस यूज किए जाते हैं? सो फर्स्टली इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू रिमेंबर कि वर्ल्ड बैंक कंपाइल्स दिस इंडेक्स to assess the performance of national statistical systems across 174 countries. So this is based on 5 dimensions of performance. So commonly it is referred to 5 pillars. So that includes data usage, data services, data products, data sources क्या है, and data infrastructure कैसा है किसी पर्टिकुलर इकोनॉमी में. सो इंडिया का जो स्कोर था 2019 के इंडेक्स में, इट वाज ओवरऑल 70.4. So we like pillar wise data is also there. So अगर हम इसमें देखें, so lowest score has been, you can say it is 55, which is data infrastructure में 55, which is lowest score. इंडिया की सिर्फ अगर हम बात करें हमारे जितने भी 5 पिलर्स है उसमें हमारा लोएस्ट स्कोर है डेटा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे. तो वी आर ऑल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट प्रमोटिंग डीपीएस, द डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. सो द सिक्योरिटी ऑफ द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो डेटा यूज जो पिलर नंबर 1 अगर हम इसकी बात करें तो दिस कैटेगरी डिपेंड्स की हाउ डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स ऑफ द सोसाइटी इंक्लूडिंग लेजिस्लेचर, एग्जीक्यूटिव, सिविल सोसाइटी, एकेडमिया एंड इंटरनेशनल बॉडीज वो कैसे यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं द स्टैटिस्टिक्स प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय द सिस्टम. कौन से पर्पस के लिए डेटा को यूज किया जा रहा है, कैसे उसको यूज किया जा रहा है. सो दैट इज डिटर्मिन्ड एंड असेस्ड अंडर पिलर नंबर 1. सो इस पिलर में इंडिया की परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी, इट इज सेटिस्फैक्टरी इन दिस मेजर. Comparatively of the estimates of like child mortality, debt reporting, drinking water, labor force participation rate. So in areas से related जो data usage हम कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे हमारी performance is quite satisfactory. Then pillar number 2, data products की अगर हम बात करें तो it anchors national statistical systems performance around the essential data that is required for sustainable development goals. So for this, to improve upon this, India may we have already taken the right step by conducting multiple indicator survey and comprehensive annual modular surveys in the NSS 78th round and even 79th round for the collection of data on SDGs. So on this pillar also we are going on track. Then जब हम data infrastructure की बात करें तो इंडिया का score 55 है and rank is 73. So this pillar encompasses 5 subdivisions. So data infrastructure के भी 5 subdivisions है, which includes legislation and governance related, standards and methods क्या हैं, skills क्या हैं, partnership and finance. So हमारा score for legislation and governance वहाँ पे we are performing well when we talk about the data infrastructure. So given that जो हमारा national statistical legislation है, it aligns well with the fundamental principles of official statistics. So overall जो हमारा score है for data infrastructure वो थोड़ा low है due to moderate performance in the standards and the methods that we follow and poor performance even in finance. So standards and methods की अगर हम बात करें तो herein we talk about the adoption of the system of national accounts. That is, we've been adhering to the 2008 standards and latest standards for the compilation of the government finance, statistics, monetary and financial statistics. वहाँ पे भी we are doing the required amendments. So यहाँ पे हमारा score less इसलिए है because of non-adoption the latest standards for classifying employment status. This is the main reason, and it is also because of non-utilization of the generic statistical business process model. So different types के models हैं, we have not like adhering to the latest standards in the model. Finance category की बात करें तो it receives the lowest score because India का जो national statistical plan है, it lacks full funding. So because of unavailability of adequate amount of funding, that is why our score is less. जो हमारा स्टैटिस्टिकल प्लान है, तो अगर फंडिंग अवेलेबल नहीं है जितनी रिक्वायर्ड है तो हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू इंश्योर कि वो प्लान हम इम्प्लीमेंट कर पाएंगे. देन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव डेटा पे भी अगेन हमारा स्कोर थोड़ा लो है. नाउ दिस इज मेनली ड्यू टू द नॉन फुलफिलमेंट द क्राइटेरिया ऑफ एटलीस्ट 90% रजिस्ट्रेशन होनी चाहिए ऑफ द बर्ड्स अंडर द सिविल रजिस्ट्रेशन सिस्टम. सो इंडिया में वी आर नॉट अगेन meeting this target. So that's why even our score is low in administrative data. So आप बोल सकते हो कि administrative data की जब हम बात करें तो why only registration of births और बाकी data बाकी sectors क्यों नहीं consider कर रहे हैं? तो थोड़ा narrow हो जाता है ये. एंड डेटा सर्विसेज का जो डायमेंशन है, इंडिया गेट्स फुल पॉइंट्स फॉर द डेटा रिलीज एंड जो डेटा सर्विसेज हम प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, येट स्टिल वहां पे इम्प्रूवमेंट का स्कोप एग्जिस्ट करता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ ऑनलाइन एक्सेसिबिलिटी. सो यहाँ पे थोड़ा और हम इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं. एंड डेफिनेटली एक और डायमेंशन है जहाँ पे हमारा स्कोर बहुत अमेजिंग है, कमेंडेबल है, दैट इज ओपननेस फॉर द ओपन डेटा इन्वेंटरी दैट ऑल्सो डिजर्व्स recognition. So herein also we are performing nicely. So जो ये डेटा पूरा डेटा हमने डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस एनालाइज किए, ये इम्प्रूवमेंट करने के लिए डेफिनेटली हमारे लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है टू enhance our international competitiveness, but it is through identifying the issues and then establishing attainable goals कि एक substantial rise in rankings हम achieve कर सकते हैं. So data products पे हमें focus करना है, data use and data infrastructure. And if we are able to improve in these three dimensions, so definitely हमारी rank भी improve हो सकती है. So yesterday we were talking about the presidential elections going on in Maldives. So right now it is visible, and as per the expectations, जो a person who's contesting for the presidential elections, he is more in favor of China. So that is not going to be good for India. So India क्या कर सकता है if he comes into the power? So firstly, again, we can focus upon engaging with the new government in Mali and deepen our ties. So Maldives has chosen a new leader replacing President Ibu Soleh, who won by a landslide in 2018. So right now, the person who comes into power is Mohammed Mizu. So he's the mayor of Mali and the choice of the previous ruling party as well. So, we even saw कि Maldives में he had this India Out campaign to oust Indian military personnel. So basically, he is more of anti-India. And he has also played important role in going ahead for a free trade agreement with China and loans for the infrastructure projects. That opposition का कहना ये है, उसकी वजह से again जो चाइना की debt trap policy है उस पे मालदीव फंस चुका है. And Mr. Soleh, he also turned Maldives international campus, committing publicly to an India first policy. So previous government की अगर बात करें, so again he was dedicated with जब हम इंडिया की neighborhood first policy की बात करते हैं, so उस time पे again we had good relations. So right now it's important कि we engage with the new government, taking lessons from the events in neighborhood like Sri Lanka's handling of its economic crisis. So even Maldives should take lessons from the experience of Sri Lanka. And definitely India, Maldives cannot ignore India and just be dependent upon China. So it needs to definitely go for a balanced approach. So एक क्वेश्चन है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, कि क्या इंडियन हाउस होल्ड्स के जो सेविंग्स हैं वो रिड्यूस हो चुकी हैं कि नहीं. सो फाइनेंशियल लाइबिलिटीज जो हैं हाउस होल्ड्स की, इट हैज इंक्रीज्ड फास्टर देन देयर एसेट्स. तो एक ये ट्रेंड निकल के आया है जो इंडिकेट कर रहा है राइजिंग इन डेटनेस, विच इज नॉट अ गुड इंडिकेटर. तो गवर्नमेंट हैज हाउएवर काउंटर्ड दीज क्लेम्स, एंड जो रीजन दिया गया है हम उसको समझेंगे. रीजन एक्चुअली क्या दिया जा रहा है फॉर डिक्लाइन इन दी हाउस होल्ड सेविंग्स. फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री ने एक्सप्लेन किया है जो फाइनेंशियल सेविंग्स रिड्यूस हो रही है, दैट इज बिकॉज हाउस होल्ड्स दे आर टेकिंग एडवांटेज ऑफ लो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स assets to invest in more physical assets. So we are seeing that people are spending more in buying new homes and buying new vehicles. So that is why June ki financial savings thi that will be put into buying of homes and cars. So that is the main reason. So it is not because um, a sign of economic distress, and at the same time but जो concern है क्योंकि जिस रेट से लाइबिलिटीज इंक्रीज हो रही है, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली अगर आपने न्यू घर लिया या कार लिया तो आपने लोन भी लिया होगा, तो आपकी जो लाइबिलिटीज है वो इंक्रीज हो जाती है, एंड जिस पेस से आपके एसेट्स इंक्रीज हो रहे हैं दैट इज बीन स्लो, सो उसकी वजह से जो इनडेटनेस है वो अल्टीमेटली ओवरऑल लेवल पे इंक्रीज हो रही है. सो आरबीआई की जो मंथली बुलेटिन है सितंबर के लिए, उसमें वी गॉट टू नो अबाउट दिस कि हाउस होल्ड्स की नेट फाइनेंशियल सेविंग्स इट हैज फॉलन टू 5% फ्रॉम 11.5% in 2020-21. So what the government is claiming, so there is evidence to support the government's narrative of a shift from the financial to the physical assets. So एक तरीके से हम बोल सकते हैं कि एक structural change visible है कि people they are shifting from financial assets to physical assets, and post COVID time की अगर हम बात करें तो there has been an increase in the household construction also. So construction sector, realty sector was the fastest growing sector post COVID-19, and trade, hotels, transport, communication sector grew faster in the later period. So initially housing loans from the scheduled commercial banks, वहाँ पे भी हमें double digit growth देखने को मिली है, and liabilities in other non-financial assets वो भी इंक्रीज होती हुई दिखाई दे रही है. तो नॉन फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स में लाइक एजुकेशन, व्हीकल लोन्स, वहां पे भी हमें ग्रोथ और इंक्रीज देखने को मिल रही है. सो बेसिकली जो कॉम्पोजिशन है हाउस होल्ड सेविंग्स की, वहां पे हमें एक कॉम्पोजिशन में चेंज देखने को मिल रहा है. तो जो शेयर है फिजिकल एसेट्स का एक्सक्लूडिंग गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर, दैट इज ऑलमोस्ट 60% ऑफ द हाउस होल्ड टोटल नेट सेविंग्स फिजिकल एसेट्स में इन्वेस्ट की जा रही है, एंड विद द शेयर ऑफ फाइनेंशियल सेविंग्स रिड्यूसिंग फ्रॉम 39% टू 38.77%. सो मार्जिनल डिक्लाइन हुआ बट मैसिव इंक्रीज हमें देखने को मिल रहा है इन टर्म्स ऑफ द शेयर ऑफ द फिजिकल एसेट्स. सो यहाँ पे बेसिकली मानना ये है कि जो लो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स थे उसका एडवांटेज लेते हुए पीपल हैव बीन इन्वेस्टिंग इन द फिजिकल एसेट्स. सो जो लाइबिलिटीज इंक्रीज हो रही है इट इज नॉट फॉर दी कंजम्पशन पर्पस. लोग पैसा बोरो कंजम्पशन पर्पस के लिए नहीं कर रहे. अगर इफ इट वुड हैव बीन फॉर दिस तो वो हमारे लिए एक मेजर कंसर्न हो जाता, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली आपको लाइबिलिटीज उनको रीपे भी करना होता है. तो टू इट इज फॉर purchasing the non-financial assets like houses. So इसके वजह से liabilities increase हो रही है. So this is again not a cause of concern for us. So अगर हम pessimistic claim की बात करें, क्या problem areas हैं right now in the shift in this structure? So other evidence जो है that is slightly pointing towards a different picture. So fall in the household net financial savings जो हो रही है देखने को मिल रहा है, इट इज ड्रिवन लार्जली बाय राइज इन द लायबिलिटीज. सो लायबिलिटीज इंक्रीज हो रही है, अब चाहे वो फॉर द कंजम्पशन पर्पस हो या फॉर द नॉन फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स हो, बट लायबिलिटीज इंक्रीज होना भी एक इतना अच्छा साइन नहीं होता है. तो एक ये हम इसको वी कैन सी विद मच मोर क्रिटिकलिटी. सो ग्रॉस फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स दे हैव डिक्लाइंड मार्जिनली एज अ शेयर ऑफ जीडीपी from 11% to 10.9%. So gross liabilities remaining steady at roughly 3.8% of the GDP, which is quite high. So rise in liabilities would not imply households they have reduced the savings if they are increasing loans, which is financed the construction and the purchasing of the homes. So loans for the housing, education, vehicles, नो डाउट वहां पे इंक्रीज देखने को मिल रहा है, पर जो बाकी कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ पर्सनल लोन्स वो भी फास्टर रेट पे इंक्रीज हुए हैं. सो वी कांट इग्नोर दिस थिंग. एंड इन कॉन्ट्रास्ट टू दिस आउटस्टैंडिंग क्रेडिट कार्ड लोन्स में भी इंक्रीज देखने को मिल रही है. सो अगेन दिस इज ऑल्सो नॉट अ गुड साइन. अदर पर्सनल लोन्स में ग्रोथ देखने को मिल रही है. लोन्स अगेंस्ट द ज्वेलरी टू फाइनेंस कंजम्पशन, and how they may also be taking loans on the credit card debt also. So biggest contributor जो है to the large rise in the financial liabilities between 2021-22 and 2022-23, it is because of loans from the non-banking institutions, which grew by almost 10 times. So NBFC से भी जो loans ले जा रहे हैं उसमें ज्यादा हमें increase देखने को मिल रही है. So what is the road ahead then? So examination of the data हमें यही reveal कर रहा है कि even though जो housing loans हैं वो increase हुए हैं, जो other forms of loans हैं वहाँ पे भी possibly थोड़ा बहुत increase देखने को मिल रहा है for the consumption purpose, this we can assume. But क्या ये दोनों scenario की जब हम बात कर रहे हैं तो is it implying the situation of distress or growing distress? So it is difficult to say for just 1 year's data. आप एक year के data के basis पे नहीं बोल सकते हो. For we do not know कि क्या ये trend जो trend अभी हमें देखने को मिल रहा है क्या ये one time event के लिए है या आगे continue करेगा. सो एक साइड तो हम ये बोल सकते हैं हाउस होल्ड पैसा बोरो कर रहे हैं सो दैट अपना अगेन वो जो लाइफस्टाइल है जो स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ लिविंग है उसको मेंटेन कर सके. मतलब पैसा या तो वो बोरो कर रहे हैं टू फाइनेंस देयर कंजम्पशन बिकॉज जो उनको इनकम लॉस देखने को मिला आफ्टर द कोविड-19 तो उसकी वजह से बोरोइंग्स इंक्रीज हो गई. दूसरी साइड हम ये भी बोल सकते हैं इट कुड ऑल्सो बी कि जो पेंट अप डिमांड है ड्यूरिंग द पैंडेमिक दैट इज बीइंग नाउ रियलाइज्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डेट फाइनेंस्ड consumption जहाँ पे households are optimistic about the future repayment. So this is one of the positive scenarios. बट अगर ये जो ऑप्टिमिस्टिक सिनेरियो अगर दिस इज ऑल्सो ट्रू तो स्टिल हमारे लिए जो कंसर्न्स है दैट इज यूएस फेड रिजर्व की कमिटमेंट ऑफ मेंटेनिंग हायर इंटरेस्ट रेट्स टू कम्बैट इन्फ्लेशन दैट वुड हैव अ नॉक ऑन इफेक्ट ऑन द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. तो इसकी वजह से जो बोरोइंग कॉस्ट है वो हायर लेवल पे रहेंगी. द राइजिंग इंटरेस्ट रेट्स इन इंडिया उसकी वजह से अगेन सिग्निफिकेंट स्ट्रेस हो सकता है फॉर द हाउस होल्ड्स टू मीट देयर इंक्रीजिंग लायबिलिटीज एंड उसकी वजह से अगेन वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट एनपीएस नंबर भी इंक्रीज हो सकता है. For Indonesia, we are going to see launch of China-funded high-speed rail. This is going to be the first in Southeast Asia. So Indo-Pacific region definitely China is also trying to make inroads into different countries. China का Belt and Road Initiative that is also again expanding through multiple countries. So basically, we just need to go ahead with thinking कि China का main intention क्या of this expansion. So which is a better option? बैंक में पैसा डिपॉजिट करना है या स्मॉल सेविंग फंड्स में पैसा डिपॉजिट करना है. तो यहाँ पे कुछ क्राइटेरियाज है जिनके बेसिस पे वी कैन से कि विच इज द बेटर ऑप्शन. सो सेफ्टी के पर्पज से अगर हम बात करें तो दोनों बैंक डिपॉजिट्स भी और स्मॉल सेविंग्स दोनों सेफ है. बट अगर यू हैव टू बी अवेयर ऑफ द फाइनर एस्पेक्ट्स तो स्मॉल सेविंग्स में विच इज पोस्ट ऑफिस स्कीम्स जो हैं या पब्लिक प्रोविडेंट फंड है इट इज यूनिफॉर्मली सेफ as entire system that is run by the union government, so it is backed by government and most of the banks are also safe. So but still there are shades. So comparatively when we talk about safety, so small savings they are much more safer. देन व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट लिक्विडिटी, तो लिक्विडिटी में बैंक डिपॉजिट्स जो हैं वो फेयरली यूनिफॉर्म है. यू कैन विड्रॉ योर मनी एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे, उसमें कोई ऐसी रिस्ट्रिक्शंस इम्पोज नहीं की जाती है. बट देयर वुड बी प्री मेच्योर विड्रॉल पेनल्टी ऑल्सो. सो पेनल्टी भी इम्पोज की जाती है जब आप प्री मेच्योरली पैसा विड्रॉ करते हो. सो जो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स है, दैट इज द रेलेवेंट रेट फॉर द टाइम पीरियड यू हैव बीन देयर एंड नॉट फॉर द इनिशियली कॉन्ट्रैक्टेड पीरियड. सो स्मॉल सेविंग्स की बात करें, सो यहाँ पे अगेन इट वेरीज फ्रॉम प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट. सो सर्टेन प्रोडक्ट्स में इट कैरीज अ लॉक इन पीरियड ऑल्सो. तो अगर लॉक इन पीरियड से पहले आप विड्रॉ कर लेते हो तो डेफिनेटली वहां पे भी कुछ अमाउंट ऑफ पेनल्टी इम्पोज की जाती है. तो यहाँ पे थिंग्स आर लिटिल वेरिएबल. सो रिटर्न्स की टॉक अबाउट द रिटर्न्स दैट यू गेट अगर आप बैंक डिपॉजिट पे पैसा करते हो या फिर स्मॉल सेविंग्स में. सो फॉर बैंक्स आपको अगेन यू नीड टू चेक द अपडेटेड इंटरेस्ट रेट फॉर ईच एंड एवरी बैंक. उनकी वेबसाइट पे यू कैन चेक दिस आउट. एंड इफ यू हैव कंपाउंडिंग ऑप्शंस आल्सो लाइक क्वार्टरली एनुअली बेसिस पे, तो डेफिनेटली वो आपके रिटर्न्स को कहीं नहीं थोड़ा और इंक्रीज करते हैं. सो लेवल ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रेट इंडिकेट्स रिस्क लेवल ऑल्सो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर कोई पीएसयू है, पब्लिक सेक्टर अंडरटेकिंग है बैंक, वो आपको ऑफर कर रहा है 7% ऑफ इंटरेस्ट रेट. एंड रिलेटिवली जो स्मॉल कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स है वो आपको सपोज 9% का इंटरेस्ट रेट ऑफर करते हैं. तो इट इज डेफिनेटली अ मैसेज. दिस इज नॉट टू से कि जो बैंक आपको 9% इंटरेस्ट रेट ऑफर कर रहा है इट विल default, but there is a differential risk level which is associated, and definitely you have to be mindful कि आप कौन से बैंक में पैसा डिपॉजिट कर रहे हो. बट स्मॉल सेविंग्स के रिटर्न की बात करें तो ये यहाँ पे भी हमें प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट वेरिएशन देखने को मिलता है. एंड यू कैन चेक दिस डिफरेंट इंटरेस्ट रेट्स फॉर द स्मॉल सेविंग्स ऑन दिस ऑफिशियल वेबसाइट. सो सेंटर ने रिसेंटली अनाउंस किया कि फॉर एवरी क्वार्टर from like June 30 से जो rates रहेंगे from 1st of July to September 30 they were announced. So for 1 year time deposit के लिए rate was raised from 6.8 to 6.9%. आपको small savings में return मिल जाएगा. कंक्लूजन अगर हम ड्रॉ करें तो स्मॉल सेविंग्स में क्वालिटी इज सोवरन एंड इंटरेस्ट रेट्स भी डिसेंट है. स्मॉल सेविंग्स की जब हम बात करें लाइक सीनियर सिटीजन सेविंग स्कीम्स है, वहां पे आपको 8.2% रिटर्न मिलता है. नेशनल सेविंग सर्टिफिकेट 7.7% रिटर्न. सो बैंक्स में यू गेट सिमिलर और इवन बेटर रेट्स आपको मिल सकते हैं बैंक्स में भी. बट बैंक्स में यू नीड टू बी माइंडफुल ऑफ कि कौन सा बैंक आप चूज कर रहे हो, whether it is again a public sector bank or a private sector bank या कोई small cooperative bank है, तो accordingly आपका risk vary करेगा. So since today is Gandhi Jayanti, so let's learn from Mahatma Gandhi how his thoughts and ideas they are being spread through education. So in education, many often lament कि जो education it has not been able to give your youth the right direction, the kind of all-round development जो necessary है to make them self-dependent. So कहीं ना कहीं वैसे की जो vocational training है, vocational skills है, वहाँ पे हमने हमारे जो इंडिया का education sector है उस पर इतना focus नहीं किया. तो remedy talk about, so here we can get to learn and implement the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. So that is over the years, many higher education institutions they have been offering various programs which are based on even Gandhian thought. So Delhi University, may, for example, it offers a mandatory value-added course which is integrating mind, body, and heart, which is again handled through discussions, debates, and discourse rather than relying on the textbooks alone. So जो रट्टाफिकेशन है, rote learning है, उसके ऊपर ना dependent होके we are adhering to more discussions करना, debates, and then you will be able to again understanding things थोड़ा और easier हो जाता है. So this is one model that we are seeing in different institutions. So the example was from Delhi University. Even Tamil Nadu की बात करें तो गांधीराम Rural Institute है that has been implementing the नई तालीम Gandhian educational philosophy through academic programs. So different academic programs they are being run which are based on Gandhian thoughts and ideas in the education sector. So और भी programs are like Gandhi in everyday life, is Shanti Sena non-violent leadership training. So non-violent leadership training and periodical workshops की जाती है, trainings रहती है, seminars and symposia रहता है. So again, we need to now bring this thing in the primary education sector as well. And we see कि higher education में it is proliferating, but again, if we target the children from the childhood years, so this is definitely going to bring behavioral change also, and this is going to be a part of their entire life as well. Coming to the Mint newspaper. So here we see ki how falling rural incomes, it will hurt the festive demand. So falling rural incomes, how this is going to hurt the festive demand, we see whether it is a sign of distress or not. So millions of rural families ऐसी हैं which are chasing the low paying jobs. It means a short supply of regular jobs, and this can be understood from one of the indicators if the job demands is increasing in under the MG Narega scheme. So that is again a sign of distress. So work demand under the rural job schemes. Here we have the data for different years from 2019-20 up till 2023-24. So we can see for three different months, July, August, and September, it has been increasing. Work demand under the rural job schemes, जो government run schemes हैं. So we see कि following an uneven monsoon, the demand for the work under the National Rural Job Scheme increase हुई है, जहाँ पे farm revenues, again, they have been hit by the crop losses and the export curbs. So अब इसका और क्या multiplier effects हो सकते हैं because of the decline in the rural income. So MJ Narega में definitely, as I just mentioned, कि there is increase in the demand under the scheme. Then farm incomes in rural areas में कैसे उनकी performance rate of even farm incomes, they are not so promising because of weaker and we can say distorted pattern of rainfall. So definitely monsoon बहुत important role play करता है when we talk about the rural incomes. Trade decisions ने rural incomes को कैसे हर्ट किया या हिट किया. सो यहाँ पे अगेन इन्फ्लेशन वर्सेस रूरल इनकम आप बात कर सकते हो. तो गवर्नमेंट ने इम्पोज किए हुए हैं कर्ब्स ऑन द एक्सपोर्ट्स ऑफ सीरियल्स, ऑनियंस एंड इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटीज भी कट की गई है लाइक एडिबल ऑयल पे, पल्सेस पे. सो उसकी वजह से इम्पोर्ट भी इंक्रीज हुआ है. So farmers have lost around, wheat farmers की अगर हम बात करें तो they have lost around rupees 40,000 crores due to pro-consumer policies that has been initiated by the government. So कहीं ना कहीं क्या ये सारी चीजें मिलके रूरल डिमांड पे इम्पैक्ट करेंगी? तो अगर डेफिनेटली इनकम पे इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है तो सेल्स जो पैकेज कंज्यूमर गुड्स हैं, कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल्स हैं, स्मॉल कार्स, टू व्हीलर्स, फेस्टिव सीजन में भी इम्पैक्ट होगा. We need to watch out for untimely rains during this month's Kharif harvest. And silver lining is that ahead of the state and general elections, so boosting spending by the political parties and government via cash transfers and cooking fuel subsidies, वो हम expect कर सकते हैं. तो वहाँ पे थोड़ा सा we can compensate for this negative impact. Quote of the day is coming from the Union Minister of External Affairs. He says, I want to say in many ways, if there's a spring in our step, a confidence in your voice, a sort of squaring of our shoulder, there are very good reasons for it because it is built today on 10 years of hard work. So now you can interpret this in multiple ways as well. Coming to Financial Express newspaper, so tax on e-gaming is 5 times of their revenue. So this I've already taken up in detail in the Hindu newspaper in the very beginning. तो जब हम कोकोआ प्रोडक्शन की बात करते हैं इंडिया में, सो कोकोआ एक तरीके से एक रॉ मटेरियल है टू manufacture or to make chocolates. So production of cocoa in India, that is very low. So any country which is producing 1 ton of cocoa, it is eligible to become the member of cocoa club membership. And there's a lot of potential for the consumption of cocoa based products, not just chocolate in India. So और भी ऐसे multiple products है जहाँ पे cocoa को as a raw material use किया जा सकता है. So again cocoa और यहाँ पे we can definitely increase our partnership with even Africa. तो यहाँ पे this is one new area which you can specifically quote in your answers. So Russia से जो हमारे crude oil imports है, they have jumped 80% in the month of September on cheaper prices that we are getting. So this again, I talked about this dimension in the early beginning. यहाँ से just what we can take away is the chronological ordering of the other partner countries for crude oil imports. So Russia definitely हमारा सबसे बड़ा supplier है crude oil का, which is followed by Iraq and then Saudi Arabia. So it's very important ऐसे statements prelims में पूछे जाते हैं. So Russia, Iraq and then Saudi Arabia. So अगर सऊदी अरेबिया से हम ट्रेंड की बात करें तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम सऊदी अरेबिया हमारा वन ऑफ द टॉप क्रूड ऑयल सप्लायर रहा है, बट विद टाइम वी आर सीइंग कि जो शेयर है वो डिक्लाइन होता जा रहा है. सो दिस इज आल्सो वन ऑफ द अपडेट्स. So August May index of industrial production growth seen around 10%. So with the 8 core industries output that is also grown at 14-month high of 12% in the month of August. This is one of the most strongest indicator when we talk about the performance of the economy short term में. And other high frequency indicators, they are also showing an upbeat performance. So साथ ही साथ अगर index of industrial production में भी अगर हमारी growth record हो रही है 10%, so that is going to be again one of the highest in the 14 months. So this is because we can say this is aided by cement and steel production की we can say वहां पे हमें ज्यादा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और ग्रोथ आउटपुट देखने को ज्यादा मिल रहा है, तो उसकी वजह से इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन में हमें ज्यादा ग्रोथ देखने को मिल रही है. एंड साथ के साथ राइज इन द कैपिटल गुड्स इंपोर्ट्स ऑल्सो. So core sector का weightage in the index of industrial production is around 40%. So we need to remember the weightage as well. So here we have interview of one of the members of Niti Aayog. So we are closer to doubling the farmers' income, although we've missed the target here. But moving forward, how again we can ensure this thing at a much quicker pace. So have measures like जो export duties imposed की गई है on rice and onion exports given results in controlling inflation. So again ये जो measures लिए गए थे that was to control inflation. तो क्या हमें उन पे results मिले हैं, क्योंकि उसकी वजह से definitely farmers के ऊपर negative impact हुआ है. So if the timely decision on imposing this 40% import duty last month, it were not taken, it would have led to crisis and spike in the prices, food inflation. And in case of rice and onions, we have succeeded in controlling the prices. So this is what he is to say. Then he was asked another question, what is his assessment of government's target of doubling the farmers' income? So he says that I can't say कि जो farmers' income है वो double हुई है or not, but certainly, but he can say कि the kind of growth जो हमें देखने को मिल रही in the income of the farmers, we've seen in the last 7 to 8 years is unprecedented. So last 7 to 8 years में the growth has happened. Annual cash transfer जो किया जा रहा है rupees 60,000 crores to the farmers जो PM Kisan scheme है उसके अंदर, it is also enhanced farmers income. And real terms में अगर हम बात करें, growth in the agriculture sector is 4%. So there is an increase in terms of trade also. So if you add all these, so we will be moving closer to the target of doubling of the farmers income. And और कौन से ऐसे areas हैं जहाँ पे हम और work कर सकते हैं, तो that is again promoting and encouraging the cultivation of millets. So from that also we can see the farmers' income going up. So the government launching many new welfare schemes or not. So this is the question. So recent years में there's lots of positive things that have been happened in agriculture sector, like terms of trade एक important factor है. Agriculture में that is also rapidly rising in favor of the farmers, जिसकी वजह से we can say कि जो real prices है agriculture sector में compared to the non-agriculture, they are rising as indicated by the recent retail, food and non-food inflation. So food prices, they are rising at the same rate as other prices. So this makes a big difference. So prices have benefit the farmers, while the prices of urea they have not been changed since 2018. So there is no tariff is charged on the power supply to the agriculture sector also. Recently trade, it has become a big source of increase in the farmers income of late. So short term कुछ disruptions रहेंगे, जैसे कि again government ने डिसीजन लिए टू कर्ब द इन्फ्लेशन, एक्सपोर्ट ड्यूटी इम्पोज की गई है एंड कुछ एरियाज में एक्सपोर्ट बैन किया गया है फॉर अगेन शॉर्टर टाइम पीरियड. सो उससे उसकी वजह से भी फार्मर्स की इनकम पे थोड़ा बहुत नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट भी हमें देखने को मिल रहा है. तो पॉजिटिव टर्म्स ऑफ ट्रेड एक हमारे फेवर में है. एंड ऑल्सो फार्मर्स सुसाइड्स में जो नंबर डिक्लाइन हुआ है, दैट इज ऑल्सो वी आर सीइंग. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो एन इंडिकेशन ऑफ प्रोग्रेस इन एग्रीकल्चर. सो रूरल डिस्ट्रेस बिकॉज ऑफ राइज एंड डिमांड्स ऑफ द जॉब्स अंडर एमजी नरेगा. तो जब हम जॉब्स की बात करते हैं तो डिमांड अंडर एमजी नरेगा, इट इज राइजिंग because of several reasons. So it is not because कि people they are not getting work or any other working opportunities in other areas. ये एक single reason नहीं है. So over time there's a lot of leakage in the नरेगा also. So male members they prefer normal kind of employment उनको मिल जाए, while women जो हैं वो then focus करती है कि वो एमजी नरेगा के थ्रू वर्क कर सकती है staying back home. So एमजी नरेगा employment less taxing है, productivity is also low. So I do not consider कि increase in work under एमजी नरेगा it is an indicator of distress. So reports are coming कि much of the work जो एमजी नरेगा के अंडर हो रहा है it is done under machine. So how do you do social audits? आप ये definitely एक important question आ जाता है कि आप social audits नहीं कर रहे हो अच्छे से. So most of the cases में people are looking at social audits अगर workers are getting payment, but they seldom look at the productivity of the assets which are being created under MG Narega. So it's important to conduct a study on the productivity of labor of working under MG Narega. So it's expected that RBI is going to retain the repo rate. So for us, what is important कि actual decision क्या होगा, accordingly we'll go by what has been the assessment done by the Monetary Policy Committee members. So expectations is कि status को maintain किया जाएगा. So Indian diamond industry जो है, what is eclipsing its growth? So challenges and hurdles क्या है? Lab grown diamond definitely एक important subtopic है associated with the diamond industry. So हमारा जो imports of the rough diamonds वहाँ पे भी हमें fall देखने को मिल रहा है. So India की जो diamond processing industry है world की one of the largest है, which is facing a demand slowdown and falling prices because of high inflation. High inflation की वजह से demand slowdown देखने को मिल रहा है and global economic slowdown भी हो रहा है. तो उसकी वजह से even prices are following क्योंकि demand fall हो रही है. तो industry has backed a voluntary ban of the imports of the rough diamonds till mid-December to mitigate this crisis. So India जो है, India it processes 9 out of 10 diamonds polished in the world. Although processing or जो related trade activities they are slowly picking up elsewhere also, but they are slowly picking up. So diamond for the loose polished diamonds and diamond jewelry जो है for the large consuming economies such as US and China, they have been materially affected over the last many quarters, क्योंकि US और China से जो demand slowdown देखने को मिल रहा है because of economic slowdown, उसकी वजह से हमारी diamond industry पे direct impact हुआ है. So हमारे जो exports हैं, they have declined by 25%. एंड रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर की वजह से डेफिनेटली जो प्रिवेलिंग कंडीशंस ऑफ राइजिंग इन्फ्लेशन, रेट हाइक्स किए जा रहे, टाइट मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, सो उसकी वजह से वी आर सीइंग कि एक्सपोर्ट्स में भी फॉल देखने को मिला है. फॉलिंग प्राइसेस आर आल्सो अगेन पॉजिंग काइंड ऑफ अ चैलेंज. राइजिंग इन्वेंटरीज हो रही हैं. सो विद द इंडियन मिडस्ट्रीम प्लेयर्स दे हैव हाइटेंड द इंडस्ट्री स्ट्रेस लेवल. सो लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स की अगर हम बात करें तो डायमंड्स मेड इन लैबोरेटरीज, उनको हम सिंपली बोलते हैं लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स. सो दे हैव इमर्ज्ड एज अ मेजर थ्रेट टू द नेचुरल डायमंड ट्रेड आल्सो, स्पेशली इन अ बेयर मार्केट such as the one which is prevailing right now. So अगर suppose boosting time period चल रहा होता, when we talk about the business cycle, so during the boost period तब लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स हमारे लिए इतनी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होते. बट अगेन अभी स्लो डाउन के टाइम पे ऑलरेडी डिमांड स्लो हो रही है, फॉल हो रही है. तो उस टाइम पे एज अ कॉम्पिटिटर वी कैन से नेचुरल डायमंड्स के लिए लैब ग्रोन डायमंड्स आ जाता है. सो उसकी वजह से भी थोड़ा हमें नेगेटिव इम्पैक्ट अभी देखने को मिल रहा है. सो कंज्यूमर्स की प्रेफरेंस में भी हमें शिफ्ट देखने को मिल रहा है टुवर्ड्स चीपर एंड अट्रैक्टिव ऑल्टरनेटिव, मतलब चीपर भी हो और जो अट्रैक्टिव भी हो. सो इस केस में चाइना डोमिनेट्स द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ सिंथेटिक डायमंड. सो यहाँ पे भी अगेन द कॉम्पिटिटर इज चाइना. So export of lab-grown diamonds that reached an all-time high of $1.68 billion in the previous financial year. And in terms of cartridge, so lab-grown diamonds export that stood at 12 million carats. So prices have been falling here also. So उसकी वजह से definitely employment के ऊपर भी impact हुआ है. And more of India की जो diamond industry that is located in the state of Gujarat. So that's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining us in today's analysis video, and do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for everyday updates.